I knew once I started, this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Sheamus with white noise!
As long as I can do what I do, enjoy what I'm doing, fans are enjoying what I'm doing, I keep that banger after banger going.
What is the definition of a banger?
The Sheamus match. Every Sheamus match.
Not too many people win the WWE Championship as their first title.
No.
You want to become Grand Slam champion?
Ultimate Grand Slam champion. The first one to win everything.
Wrestlemania 28 match with Daniel Bryan.
The idea was ding, 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 distraction, finish.
What is it about Gunther?
We're going in with top talent. They know I'm going to beat the shit out of you. This is what I want to be remembered for. My heart hitting.
Do you ease up if they tell you to?
No, I go harder.
Do you have a number in your mind of how long you want to wrestle for?
I just signed a new 5-year deal.
That'll take you into your 50s.
Yeah, I'll go till the wheels fall off.
Well, congratulations. 1 million subscribers.
1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a ride, man. We started that, me and a friend of mine, Ray Senior, we started in Dublin. I was going through some like issues with my training and I just kind of like lost all motivation to work out. And I started doing like these kind of like, I wouldn't say they're CrossFit style, but just kind of like more like more like functional training stuff like wall balls into burpees and then sled pushes down the street and a lot of these different exercises. I just kind of got my, just kind of challenging myself in the way I'd never challenged before, rather than just doing static weightlifting like bench press or barbell curls, like doing like one-armed the landmines and stuff like that. So it just became a thing where I just started getting my passion back for working out. And I talked to Ray about it, and we're posting a lot of stuff on Instagram because there was nothing really happening at the time. At the time, me and Cesaro were tagging, but we were kind of in a period of just purgatory where we weren't really doing much. I think we might have even been the champs at that stage, but we weren't really doing much on TV. So I was just trying to figure a different way to burn off energy and be more creative. And then I came up with the idea of the channel because for WWE, whose entire roster is made up of athletes, there was nothing that touched on like working out and then just one handheld camera, did a couple of videos. And then on the road, I asked the talent just as if they wanted to do and if they'd help me out, and they all did. And it was just, I'd phone up the gym. I'd ask one of the social media guys to come in, I'd throw them a few quid to record it. And we'd basically go in there and we'd film the workouts, and Ray would sit up to like 4 o'clock in the morning editing them. So my part was easy and his part was torture and nightmare, but it just grew and grew and grew. And then the biggest thing for me was seeing the responses from people in the comments about how like they've always wanted to work out and they just didn't know how, and they started doing these workouts and how it changed their lives was incredible. That's really the biggest benefit from the channel, is seeing people just have their lives changed by just becoming, diving into health and fitness.
Well, it works for people at any level, right? Like if someone works out every day and has worked out their whole life, they're still going to pick up tips. Like when Randy Orton was talking about doing the reverse bicep curls and talking about how it worked this head of the bicep, I'm like, man, that's like the science behind that's so good.
Yeah. And, I think for me is I'm learning all the time as well. Like just, being comfortable in the uncomfortable. John Cena said that in an episode one time. It just challenges you because you just become like, no matter how much you train or how hard you train as well, you can become complacent and you can become like set in your ways and get into a routine. But like by doing other people's workouts, you keep learning. But Randy's one was interesting. That was fun. That was a fun day. I think we did that before TV out of his house, and just jumped on the zip line at the end. They all thought I was going to kill myself, but it was good crack.
You just hit 1 million subscribers. So have you got the actual plaque yet?
No, not yet.
It's big gold plaque.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm looking forward to it because I had the silver one at home, and that was an incredible achievement too. But there's a couple of milestones. The first one was the first 1 million viewed video, which was with Cena, and then obviously there was like the platinum one, and then the gold. So I try to put the pressure on WWE to get out to me as quickly as possible, but we'll see what happens.
I'm jealous. We're knocking on the door.
You're going to get there, mate. It's good. It's awesome. You're going in the right direction. Well, tip it in the right direction.
We have guests like you. I feel like we get there a little bit faster.
Yeah, you got a lot of big guests on the show.
I feel very fortunate.
You had a Rock on a couple of times too, right? Many times, or
yeah, they've always been shorter though. And I'm super grateful for any time I get with him. But they've been shorter as he's promoting a film or something. But I got to get him for like an hour one day.
So it's not just WWE talent, right? You do a lot of movie interviews too, and get to meet a lot of stars. Yeah,
it's a lot more wrestling stuff now than it ever was. But I mean, in the last year or two, it's been like Adam Sandler and Sylvester Stallone and Jennifer Aniston and Ed Norton. Like, it's been a lot of fun.
That's cool.
And the thing about it, kind of like what you're talking about, is like everybody has something you can learn from. You can pick the brains of these people who have been there and done it and have been super successful. And then I can selfishly borrow a little bit of that and apply it to my own life. It is a new year, and we're all about setting goals and actually hitting them. And what you fuel your body with really matters, which is why I want to talk about today's sponsor, Huel. Their Black Edition ready to drink is a complete meal in a bottle. High in protein, low in sugar, and packed with all the nutrients that you need to perform at your best. You can find Huel at GNC, Amazon, or directly at Huel.com. And for new customers shopping at Huel.com, you can try it for 15% off and get a free gift when you use my exclusive code, which is INSIGHT. When I'm on the go recording interviews like this one that you're watching right now, sometimes it's hard to prepare a meal, and that's where Huel Black Edition really saves the day. It keeps me full, it keeps me energized, and ready to tackle whatever comes my way. Huel is a perfectly balanced meal, taking the guesswork out of eating healthy. There's no prep, no cooking, just grab a Huel and go. And it tastes amazing. You can choose from either chocolate or vanilla. I've been going with chocolate more often than not these days. High protein meals for under $5. My favorite is that black ready to drink, 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, all in one bottle. So take the leap and join the other Hueligans, brother. Hueligans. This is an exclusive offer for new customers, only 15% off and a free gift when you use the code INSIGHT at Huel.com.
Yeah, look, I feel that like everyone has their own journey and everyone has their own obstacles to overcome. Like one of the big things that really annoyed me, I don't know if it's out there as much anymore, is like when Instagram is kind of, I think, I'd say about 5-6 years ago, there was all these people posting these pictures of them looking perfect with chisel abs. It was all like filtered and doctored and whatever it is, photoshopped. And, you know, I don't think normal people can't relate to that. Like nobody can, I can't relate to that. Like nobody can understand, like there's a story behind it. You know, I think one thing people were afraid to show was that how they got to that position in the first place. Like you don't start off looking like, you know, you're made out of chiseled out of marble. You don't, like in the wrestling business, you don't just come out and then you're the best wrestler ever. Like this, everyone has a journey to go on. Everyone has to, you know, overcome physical obstacles, mental obstacles, you know, trying to like weigh up, is this worth it? Am I going to make it? And I think that's really important to tell that story. That's why like what the biggest thing for me in the workouts was I never wanted to go in there and like, look at me out like bench somebody or lift or look great all the time. Like, no, I think the beauty in the channel is the fact that I struggle doing other people's workouts. So it kind of shows loads of chinks in my armor. So it kind of, in my way, I'm trying to motivate people who've never worked out before and they're kind of like, they're hesitant or they're scared, you know, or intimidated. It's just like, look, listen, I've been training since I was 16 years old, 15 years old. And I can't keep up with some of these workouts, and I'm like on the ground dead. So that's me. Like, there's no shame in trying and failing.
That quote from John Cena, "Get comfortable being uncomfortable." Did you ever feel like there was a point in your career where you were comfortable
in the ring?
Yeah, or just with where you were at with your career?
Yeah, I definitely felt during the pandemic, I really came into my own skin. Like I really felt like I had an opportunity to kind of recreate myself and show people what I was really about. And that's, I think, where the whole physicality came from, you know, how nobody is physical in the ring as I am. And then that's where the net of that then went into the banger era of Sheamus, you know, the banger after banger. But
only two?
After banger after banger. Do we have enough tape on this or not tape or SD storage on the camera there? But yeah, it's, you know, I still get nervous. Every time I go out there, because I care. I've still got passion. I've always said to myself, I never want to. If I'm ever in the business where I go out there and I just phone it in, then I think it's time for me to hang up my boots. But it took me a long time. Like I definitely faced a lot of negativity from people when I first started the whole thing, working out with Triple H's workout buddy, and then I became WWE champion really quickly. And like people they hated that, you know, A lot of talent hated that too, but it's been a long journey, and I'm like, sometimes like you kind of feel like, where's this going, especially, but I think the whole part where it really came together was when I started tagging with Cesaro and we became the Bar, that best of 7 series, where I was like, that's where I really got my passion back.
And there's just such a physicality to what you do. There's always has been, but something about that era with Cesaro just like took it up to another level.
Yeah, like Claudio just come back and he did a short little run. He was off for a while. I think he did something to his shoulder, I think. And then all of a sudden he was doing nothing. So he was like, and I know Claudio well, BDT, as we call him, Big Dick Tony. Like he's very, very passionate. He's very motivated. He's very disciplined. And I know like he put a lot of effort into coming back. And then when he comes back and then after a short time, there's nothing there for him. Like he has a chip in his shoulder to show people how good he is. And he is in the ring. He is one of the best. There's not many people can touch him. So I was going through a phase after being world champion with Roman, and then we did the League of Nations thing, which kind of just self-imploded, and then we went on to we're just throwing into the best of 7 stuff, and we'd already wrestled each other twice, and people were just, I've seen this match twice already. But then by the end, we told a great story over 7 matches, and really had people involved, and then the Yay Boo stuff as well was fantastic, and it just our chemistry just grew and grew and grew. That was one of the funnest periods of my entire career, working with him. It was great.
What do you attribute your hot start in WWE to? It's like you debut and you're WWE champion pretty quick.
Raw talent. Looked different to anybody else. There was nothing finesse about me. There hadn't really been somebody to come into WWE. Like they've tried it a couple of times. I think they tried it with Vladimir Kozlov, Kali. There was a couple of like talent that looked different. Obviously, Kali was a giant, and then, Kozlov was this Russian mauler. But then I came in, spiky red hair, just raw, no tights, no logos, nothing, just so raw, pasty skin, mad hair, and I was aggressive. And that was true when I was in FCW with Dr. Tom. He had me watching tapes of Stan Hansen, a couple other guys as well, but Stan was really the guy, and I watched him and I studied him, and he goes, this is who you are. This is who I see that you are. And Dr. Tom Pritchard was one of the biggest influences, in my development part of my career in FCW. And he was awesome. And then I just became that guy, and everything I did was just to fuck you up, to just destroy you. There was nothing there, no showboating really, nothing like that. And when people saw me, they just didn't know how to react. And then I took down Cena, and then the people were just like, what's going on? But I think that definitely helped a lot. And, I was open to work, and, I wasn't the best. I wouldn't say I was the best worker at the time, but I was learning all the time. I was like a sponge, and I wanted to learn, and I wanted to get better, because I'd seen so many people come in and like flash the pans and go, because I've been a fan of WWE since 87, 88. And I just, as a fan, like I remember watching it as a kid, like you'd see all these talent come in and then they disappear, but I didn't read any bleeding dirt sheets or anything. They wouldn't be there. And then you'd see them come back and you remember them, or you'd see them, WCW or something or whatever, or World Championship Wrestling. And you go, oh, I didn't even realize that World Championship Wrestling was a thing. I was just so focused on originally World of Sport in the UK, and then WWE, WF, WWE.
Who were the people that you really loved back then?
Savage, man. Macho Man. I hated the baby faces. I just was not a fan of baby faces, but I love Savage because, and I've said this a million times, that's another thing about doing these interviews. I feel like after 17 years with the company, I hate repeating myself and telling the same story about him. I love the $1 Million Man. I love Perfect. I just love the heels, man. I just love them. I love the bad guys, because there's so much. I think this felt like they had so much more fun. They had just so much more creative control on themselves, and they didn't care, right?
Yeah.
So if we don't care, then when a babyface thing, it's like you're always, it's like sometimes it feels there's some baby faces you're always like worried your energy is going on the crowd to keep them involved and keep them emotionally invested in you.
When you can't win everybody over. So if you're a
No.
babyface and some people are booing you, you're like, "Whoa, what am I doing?"
Yeah.
When you're a heel and people start cheering you, you're like, "Oh, I don't care."
Yeah, you do. Especially, and that would bother me. Like, so the 2012 run when I wrestled Bryan, I beat him. I did the match at Mania 29, was it? Or 28? 28.
28 Miami.
28 Miami. It was just, that was, after that, I felt I was pushed. I felt like I was swimming into the tide. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I just felt like after that, I just starting to turn against me, and it was just a matter of time. And that's basically when I went out there and I physically had myself beat up to try, and I was working the hardest I ever had because I was still trying to get that sympathy from the crowd, getting the crap kicked out of me. You know, I was just trying to tell those stories. But yeah, that's the first time I was like, man, you know, that's when you're going like, shit, I'm not losing them, you know.
There's not too many people that win the WWF or WWE Championship as their first title.
No.
And was there talk about you winning maybe the United States title first?
No,
Wow.
There was nothing. I just, the Randy Cena thing had just done its rounds. They'd wrestled about like 100 times. And then me and Kofi got picked. Kofi got to go with Randy, and I went with John. And we had a couple of matches on a European tour. We definitely had one in Wales, or Minehead, I think it was, where it actually wrestled for All-Star Wrestling before I got picked up by WA. And I guess that was a test. I think, to be honest with you, I don't know for sure, but there was talk about there was a throw up between me or Swagger to go in with John at the time. Because obviously Jack was like, Hager was obviously a fresh new talent as well. That whole initiative, if you look back at the Survivor Series, which we're touching on next Saturday, if you look at that, like it was Miz, me, and Drew. And that the talk at the time was I was supposed to go with Hunter, Drew was supposed to go with Taker, and Miz was supposed to go with Sean. And then it all switched with, Taker and Sean for WrestleMania 26. Which is in Phoenix, which is where we are right now.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's fun. This watch just keeps
You're a busy man.
Yeah, I was in Munich there for my wedding, my honeymoon, which we got married just over 2 years ago. But we just had the honeymoon this week. So I just literally went back to Jersey, switched out my bags, Jersey to Phoenix.
So I'm right after the honeymoon here.
Right after the 2 years after we got married, of course. So
whose idea was it early on to make your pastiness part of your character?
Actually, a good friend of mine, Ray, the same guy who helped me with the channel, he's like a bleeding Pandora's box of ideas. So I was doing the opposite, mate. I was using fake tanner, and I shaved my head, and I was just trying to look like everybody else, but not knowing that what I had, my look was so unique that it was something I should lean into. So he was one who was like, "What are you doing, man? You look like the most Irish fella on the planet. Like, and then you're trying to look like everybody else." So he was the one who kind of like just snapped some sense into me.
So there's photos of a tan Sheamus out there somewhere.
There are, yeah. There's a couple, yeah. There's a couple. There's actually a picture of me and Drew where so I was like kind of like the Irish Hulk Hogan of Irish Whip Wrestling, which is the first promotion I started wrestling. So there's a picture where Drew's like this, where I took off my boots and everything. So I was in my socks and I was crouching because I had this, I don't know what it was, maybe just me being like still fresh into the business, but also a huge wrestling fan. I remember there was a photo of like Diesel and Brett, you know what I mean? And I think it was like maybe in Survivor Series too, but like it was just told that David and Goliath story.
Yeah.
And I had the same idea in my head. So there's a picture going around of me and Drew where I'm kind of crouching down because I wanted to make Drew look as big as possible and as formidable, because everyone else in Irish Whip Wrestling, God bless them, they're all like little lads, you know what I mean? They weren't really taking it seriously. They just wanted to do it for the crack. But I knew once I started, this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
But there wasn't really a path, right? There's not a lot of other people you can look to go, they've been there, they're from around where I'm from, I can follow those footsteps.
Not at the time. So Fit was the only one. And Fit went into World of Sport. So he was over in the UK mostly anyway. So for me, it was kind of uncharted territory. I met Fergal Finn just before he went to New Japan. So he obviously went to Japanese route before he came over. But for me, there really wasn't. And that's WWE is where I really always wanted to go. So they had a couple of live events. The only person really who had gone over there, like obviously Regal, but again, Regal and Dave Taylor, they'd all come in through World of Sport and they'd all, cut their teeth in Germany. And then Regal went to WCW. Fit went into WCW. So it was different. But the only one I think was Paul Burchill. He was the first I think he was the kind of one that we all looked at, like, and he was a big dude in England, but then over there, we could do all these crazy, like high flying moves. But then he went over, so we're kind of looking at him, and then Katie Burchill, Katie Lee, whatever was her, Katie Burchill. What was her real name?
I don't know.
Katie Lee or something. I think it's Katie Lee. Yeah. So yeah, that was basically it. And then me, Drew, and Wade. Me and Drew were wrestling Irish Whip Wrestling, and then went back and forth to Scotland for British Championship Wrestling. And then Wade I met Wade at Celtic Pro Wrestling. It was a show in Wales. And then we saw the size of him. So then I talked to the promoter of Irish Whip Wrestling, and we had him over. So then me, Wade, and Drew kind of, had this, like, became friends over all that. And then we did a couple of live events and dark matches, or we did a couple of tryouts before some of the shows.
What were you doing before wrestling? Like, is it true that you were a bodyguard for Bono?
No. I worked in a nightclub called Lily's Bordello. It was like one of the top nightclubs. All the stars would go in there, and Bono would go in there all the time. And Googie is a friend of his. So I just be put in task of make sure that nobody bleeding, wrecked his head. So
he's in his own little VIP area, and you're just...
No, they'd be in the main VIP area. There's two areas. It was a very, very famous nightclub back in the day, but it was like, you have this woman called Valerie Rowe on the door, and she'd vet everybody going in. And then you'd have like the members, you'd have the main club, which is, it's really, really small. Then you have a members bar, where you buy a membership, right? Or you get invited in there. And then you'd have the library upstairs where there's like, there'd be a lot of play the piano, and there'd be someone serving. So Bono would just go in to the members bar, and one of the guys would just be like, make sure that he didn't get his head wrecked. But I worked in IT as well. I double, triple jobbed. I worked in Symantec, and then I worked in the Hartford Life, which is a company over here, but I worked in IT. And then after that, I was working in nightclub doors. I was working in Bruxelles door, and I was working at Lily's. So I was working like 4 nights a week and 5 days a week, and got me first house when I was about 24, 25.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was just always never been afraid of a bit of work. I was actually first job I had was 13. I was working serving petrol, washing cars in Cabra. So never been afraid of a bit of work.
I guess when you're built like this, it's easy to be a bouncer.
Yeah. But they call him doorman there, you know what I mean? The bouncer term went out because it was, intimidating, but the doorman vibe came into Dublin. But yeah, Dublin was hopping, mate. Dublin was like buzzing, like just bars busy all the time. And it was just a way of people coming in and out, But it was a few quid in the hand, and something that would help me, pay for trips over to the UK and stuff to do a bit of to work in the Indies, because it was actually Fit Finlay. I was talking to him. I did a couple of tryouts in Dublin before the show started, before the live event started, and then when they were on tour, and then I went from there over to he's the one who recommended All Star Wrestling. So I called up Brian Dixon, told Brian that Fit Finlay had recommended me, and I went over to All Star. With
the amount of time you've spent now in the US, do you feel like you've lost a bit of your accent?
Not really. It comes back when I go home, when I'm talking to you lads, you know what I mean? It definitely gets watered down a bit, because the first year was tough because nobody understood a word I was saying. Like Drew, people still don't know what Drew was saying half the time.
Drew said he had to get lessons.
He still has to get lessons. I can't even understand some of his texts, to be honest. But yeah, there's no chance.
Elocution classes.
Elocution, yeah. He gets the bollocks slagged off, and then when he goes to Scotland, there's actually there's a Scottish comedian has a comedian like a show, like a sketches, like it's kind of sketches like I Think You Should Leave, and one of them is where this lad goes over, Scots lad goes over to America, comes back, and he starts speaking like an American. Drew reckons it's about him. It's a bit of an ego there on Drew, I think, thinking that, thinks a lot of himself. But yeah, I still don't understand him half the time.
Drew told me he wants to win the Intercontinental Championship first so that he wins it before you do.
He's already won it.
Well, I guess win it again before you win it.
Really? That's weird. Scots are weird, man, They do everything backwards. Yeah, I really shit in his parade the first time he won he won the IC title on TLC, was it? And then about an hour later I beat John for the world title. So no one remembers him winning the IC title at all.
It's true.
Sorry, Drew.
I feel like it's just a matter of time before you become Intercontinental Champion.
You say that, right? But it's like the IC curse, you know? The IC curse, the Celtic War, it's like the one thing I can't win. And it's the irony is that it's the one title that, the first title I really became focused on because Macho Man was in a feud with Steamboat over it. So he was the first IC. When I started watching, Macho Man was the first IC champion. So the one title that, you know, I was exposed to, like, as a fan, is the one I can't win, which it's become this kind of like crusade, you know, but it's definitely an IC curse for me.
Is it that you want to become Grand Slam champion or
Ultimate Grand Slam champion?
Ultimate?
Come on, fella.
What's
put out there? It's basically the first one to win everything. Like,
it's true.
King of the Ring as well is in there.
Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the wrestling.
Jeez.
Jesus. I was almost one of the longest reigning world heavyweight champions too. And then Big Show messed that up. But I was close. I think I'm like the third longest or whatever. But yeah, it's been a hell of a ride, man. Sometimes it's hard to imagine that I'm going into my 18th year with the company.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you attribute your longevity to?
Passion, mate. Passion, just stubbornness, just like, I don't know, I feel I've just got so much passion for this job. I love it. And don't get me wrong, there's days when you kind of like, you wake up in the morning and you ask yourself, you know, what am I doing? You know, and especially when you're waking up and you're just covered in ice. But for me, it's just, I love what I do. I love being out there. Traveling's a load of bollocks. You know, there's a lot of things that are, but once going out to that crowd, like, it's just, because I know one day that won't be there, you know, and it's something that I cherish every single time I go in there. And I have a point to prove as well. Like, for the first part of my career, I felt it was undermined a lot and people didn't really, like, for example, if I was in a match with someone, I brought the best out of them, people were talking about, oh, this guy carried Sheamus, a great match, or it would be, oh, this guy is great, you know? And then it just only took about 10 years for me to realize, like, hang on a second, there's a bit of a
the common denominator.
That is Sheamus and all of them. But no, I love it, mate. And I love the fact that I'm in a kind of a gatekeeper role now with a lot of new talent coming in and help get their confidence up and getting to show the world who they are. Because there's a lot of talent, I think, that wouldn't do that. But I love it. Like, I love them stepping up to me. Like, everyone knows about the Gunther thing, what we did at Clash the Castle. I know people will say NXT, but I feel like to the other fans who weren't NXT fans, I would definitely put him on the map. And we've had some bleeding barn burners since then. That to me, that was, you talk about when I got, like, that was a moment, probably one of the best moments of my career, the standing ovation I got after. People talk about winning titles and this and 18 seconds of Mania, but to me, that was probably one of the most memorable moments of my entire life after that match, getting a standing ovation in Cardiff, Wales. You know, then you obviously got, like, going in there with, like, Priest, the stuff I did with Priest. Before that, you know, the stuff I've done with, like, Ludwig, who's just an announcer now. People are seeing how an aggressive bastard he is and how good he is. Breaker as well, Bronson Reed, like, all these lads going in there and just getting the best out of them, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
It's great to see. I'm proud of all of them, man. All of them. I honestly am. Like, I see them doing really well after being in there. I'm so happy for them. Because look at, you know what I mean? Like, a bit of pride there for me, seeing how well they're doing, especially with Bronson as well now. I feel like when we're in there was a couple of things. He was too nice a little bit. Now he's in there as a killer. We had those 2 matches where we just baked the bollocks out of each other. And then, like, you know, I was fighting underneath the whole time because he is a monster. He may not be 7 foot tall, but the lad's about bleeding close to 400 pounds. You know what I mean? And he's athletic. He's so athletic as well.
What is it about Gunther that allows you guys to bring out the best in each other?
European style, maybe. I think I think a lot of talent when they come up, when they're going in with top talent, I feel they're just afraid of hurting them. And they're afraid of, like, just leaving it all out there. For me, they know I don't give a shite. They know it's like, you better bring it because I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. But I want them to beat the shit out of me too. I want them to bring it. It's not a thing where I'm going in there taking advantage of taking liberties. That's the word they used to say. It's not just like people going, he's taking liberties with the younger talent. No, I want them to step up. I want to show a side that no one has seen before. And I bring it out in whatever way I can, whether it's the shots, whether it's the fucking clubs, the 10 beats, the power on. I want to see them show a side of them that's never been seen before, and they've never seen in themselves before. So that brings it out, because you can do all the flips and you can do all the stuff, and there's definitely a place for that, and people love that. I can't do it. I'm never going to take away from anyone, but there's still still an art to two physical lads going out there and just absolutely just tearing each other apart physically, where the people in the crowd are like, they believe that these two individuals hate each other. And I take pride in that. Like, you better step up or just step off. That's the way it is for me. And I love it. And I know that. And do I get the crap knocked out of me as well because I have that style? Absolutely. This time last year, I was sitting on the sidelines coming back from what I thought could have been a career-ending neck injury, where people don't realize I went through like a lot of procedures, a lot of physical therapy. I couldn't move my neck. I went in, I got like cortisone shots. I went to see spine surgeons, specialists. And then, I thought it was good. Then I go back in the ring and I take a bump and I got getting stingers. So it wasn't looking good, And then eventually I got my nerves burned in the back of my neck. And even then, it took a while for that all to settle down. But I literally thought that was it.
Was it a certain match that happened, or was it just
over time? I took one big bump in the last one before I went away. My last match, I think it was Edge's last match too. I just took an awkward fall, and that itself I woke up the next morning, I thought my neck was broken. Just because, again, me and Edge were just knocking shy out of each other, and I just took a bad fall on the ground. And at the time I felt it, but I worked through it. And then the next day I woke up, it was not good. And it just didn't go away. And I just could not move my neck. And then after that, I was trying to work through it. And then I didn't know. I didn't think it was going to be, I didn't know how serious it was. I just thought it might be something, because, over time, it's just wear and tear, especially how I work. Like, for example, when I had my first major surgery, where I tore my shoulder at the Money in the Bank match, I was out for 6 months. Well, I was supposed to be out for 6 months, but I got ready in 3 months. I tore my labrum, I had 6 anchors in it, my left shoulder. So I came back, and the first thing I did was take the hardest post on my shoulder. And Flair was in the back going, "You're bleeding. You're a lunatic, Sheamus. What are you doing? You just had shoulder surgery and you're hitting the post 100 mile an hour." I said, "Yeah, I got to make sure it works, I got to make sure it's all right. You got to test it out, You see what I mean? Like, it's like when someone has something or injury, you got to just go head first into it. You got to go make sure you just get that fear out of your way." So so I took a post 100 mile an hour, but that's just the kind of mentality of me. But yeah, it was touch and go. And there was a couple of times, Pete Dunne was there. He was in and out of NXT. So was Ridge. They both helped. Ridge and Pete really helped me out back in January, February. But I was working out with Fit a lot, and I couldn't even take a bump. Like, even a headlock takeover was stout, and I didn't know whether or not I'd be back.
Did a doctor say to you, like, "Hey, this might be it for you"?
They just said they don't know. They just don't know what's going on. And like, you obviously can't go in there, take a bump and get a stinger. Like, I couldn't get off the mat. So I take one, and I get just like shock out of my body, and I have to lay there for like what felt like 2 minutes. You can't wrestle like that, right? So it was a thing where I didn't know. And then the doctors were kind of out of answers, because they couldn't do the surgery. Because I have like two naturally fused, two sets of discs that are fused naturally up here and down there. So, but it was kind of, so basically now every day is a blessing, right? So now it's like, every time I get out there, it's like, there was a time I was close to not being able to do this. So I was going to go out there and just have to grab the crack, just go out there and put on banger after banger, just tear it up and just kind of like see if anybody can follow it.
Does it affect the way you work now?
No. When I first came back, there was still a little bit in there. Like, obviously I put a load of weight on the burger after burger thing when they came back, because I was hoping to make the Mania. When that didn't happen, I kind of lost a little bit of discipline in my diet, and I just took the foot off the gas too much. But the first couple, it took a while. Like, it just took a couple. But then I think the main thing the main match for me where I realized I was good was when me, Drew, and Ilya did a 3-way on my 15th year anniversary in Boston. That's when I realized I was good to go. That's when I realized I'm good. I'm back.
John Cena and Becky Lynch are going to win the Royal Rumble. Or at least they're the favorites to win the Royal Rumble, according to MyBookie. The full odds are up for both the men's and the women's Royal Rumble on MyBookie, and this is right around the corner. This is February 1st in Indianapolis. I'll be there. I hope to see you there as well. John Cena is the favorite for the men, followed by The Rock, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Gunther, Seth freaking Rollins, and then you can see the other names below that. On the women's side, Becky Lynch, the favorite, followed by Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, and then the rest of the group. You can also check the odds for the NFL playoffs, college football, the next UFC, the NBA, whatever it is, and when you sign up using my code CVV, you'll get a 100% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere at MyBookie.
Did they call you back too early? Is that why the burger after burger thing happened?
No, that's on me, mate. So I was pushing for Mania. I was pushing for that Walter match at Mania, or Gunther match. I keep calling him Walter. I did that on the Pat McAfee show as well.
We know who you're talking about.
I know.
Well,
yeah.
Walter has quite a few more pounds on him.
Yeah, well, so, yeah, not anymore, he doesn't. He looks
Well, it's Gunther.
He looks like a swimmer now.
Walter and Gunther, yeah.
Two different people, like twins. We just had different ideas on diet. But yeah, so Gunther, I was pushing that match for Gunther at Mania, and it just didn't happen. So I was really hoping to end the trilogy on that note, and then that didn't happen. So I just kind of I lost a bit of motivation. It was like full on speed towards that. And then once I heard it, once that was kiboshed,
yeah,
I was like, fuck, whatever. And I just, so then I just kind of took the foot off the gas, probably drank too many Guinness, enjoyed myself too much.
What's the food that you're like, yeah, I can probably have some?
I'm not really a burger guy, to be honest.
Okay.
But I do like Guinness. I just, a lot of carbs, carb mania. Carb mania.
Carbomania.
But then I found out on the Raw after Mania that I was back the next week and no one told me. So that was fun. I'm sitting on the couch and there's this package playing it. Sheamus back next week. I was like, I am? I checked the phone, no one had texted me. I'm just watching Raw, I was like, all right, I guess I'm back next week. Is this real? Yeah, all right. Bollocks. And then I wore bicycle shorts. That's not a good idea. It's funny, I get compared to Hunter when he had we started wearing the bike. What did he tear his groin or something?
Yeah. He was trying to just keep everything.
Everything in.
Yeah.
I was trying to keep everything in too. Didn't work too well for me.
But then a few weeks later, you're back to being, the way that we normally see you.
Once I got back on the rails, came off the rails a bit, went back on the rails, it was fine.
That WrestleMania 28 match with Daniel Bryan, 18 seconds. Did they tell you specifically how long they wanted that match to be?
No, they didn't give us a time. They just, I guess what happened was I heard from somebody that it was either going to be Punk and Jericho's match was going to be short or me and Bryan's match was going to be short. So,
but there's a difference between a short match and an 18-second
yeah,
match.
I don't know what the time was, but they just said the idea was ding, 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 distraction, finish.
So just one move, boom, that's
Bam.
it. Were you good with that?
I mean, look, we knew that we could have an amazing match. Like when we were running the US title back in end of 2010, 2011, we knew how good our matches were. And that we were putting on such good matches that I think a couple of lads in the main event were actually asked, just so you don't have to kill yourself. I just kept saying, I was just trying to break that glass ceiling. But we're stealing the show every single night. We're tearing it up, man, knocking the crap out of each other. I remember one time, I don't know where we were. I think it was before the Garden. I think it's actually before WrestleMania 27. But yeah, so we were running really good. We're having great matches. We had these street fights. We're beating the bollocks out of each other, hitting each other with everything you can think of. One time I went for the brogue, and this literally happened on accident. He ducked the brogue. My left foot got stuck between the middle and the top, and I flipped over upside down. So I was hanging upside down outside the ring, totally by accident. The rope is just strangling him, so much pressure on my ankle. Bryan comes around with a bleeding kendo, and just starts whacking the shit out of me like bastards. But that's what it was. We just didn't care. We just went out there and just was physical as hell. And that's why I loved working Brian. Brian was just like, he wasn't, again, at the time he was so unique because he wasn't the biggest, tallest, whatever, but he just had this heart in him, you know, and this fighting style, and he just never gave up. Just unbelievable. Great athleticism, but also like just very, very physical. The kicks when you're on your knees, like he brought everything he did, every kick he did, it was brought with as much intensity as he had. And I told this to Regal the other day before I did this stuff, while I was doing the stuff with Pete Dunne, I felt Pete's exactly the same. You know, Pete's very creative. I don't think people realize that. I mean, he's got a great, very creative mind, but he's also, when he needs to be physical, he can be really, really physical. And that's kind of like when I was doing that feud with Pete Dunne, it kind of brought me back a little bit to the stuff with Brian.
I feel like you never phone it in.
Can't.
Like anytime your name is on the match card, you're like, well, that's going to be a great match.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Where's that come from?
Pride, Irish pride of myself, pride of my work, pride of what I do. Like I you know, sometimes I'll be honest, there's been times in my career where like I've had to be in a situation where I didn't really like the outcome. But rather than just go out there and just moan about it and whatever, I just go out there and I put on the best match I can. Like, I think for me, it's always been about the pride of my work, because not only I'm representing myself every time I go out there, I'm representing my country, where I'm from, where I grew up, north side of Dublin, Cabra West. Like, there's nothing fancy about Cabra West. There's nothing, you know, it's a lot of true individuals, like people who just, you know, experience some hardship, you know, but just suck it up and get on with it. And I feel like for me, I do it myself and everyone on the surface, I go out there and just like mope or just don't go and do it. That's why I said earlier, like, I feel like I've said this before, if I feel like I'm at a point where I am doing that, I was going to walk away. What's the point? Like, just to pick up a paycheck. That's never been my thing. I could have retired long ago, but I don't want to, because I still have passion. I still have plenty to give in this business. And for me, that banger after banger is real. Like, I want people to talk about my match. I want people to be invested in it. I want people to know when they see me up next that they're going to see a bleeding slog fest, like a scrap like they've never seen before. That's what I want. It took me years to get here. I'm not going to just piss it away because like I'm not in the mood, or I think that happens to a lot of people. I think a lot of people they get complacent. They lose their passion. They lose their focus, and they kind of phone it in. And I've seen that. I've seen people here when I started and they come in and like they get to a certain point, but then they're just like, I'm here now and I'll just rest on my laurels and I'll just do enough. Fuck that. Like, I'm not like, to me, that's kind of like disrespectful. It's embarrassing. But you do see it all the time, you know, in every aspect, even in sports, like even in NFL or even in like soccer or you know, there's people like they're getting a paycheck and they pick it up and they're glad. They think they've done all this. I've worked hard to get here. Now I can rest. You can never rest. Even when you retire, you can never rest. In my opinion. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But yeah, as you can see, I love what I do. I know I bring an element that nobody else can bring. I know when I'm out there that my job is to make sure that people remember what happened in my segment or my match, and they walk away talking about it. Like, I may never be the number one merch seller, but I don't give a shit. I don't want to do that. It's what I want to be remembered for. My style, my passion, my hard hitting, my just scrape myself off the floor and let's go again, fella. That's all you got. Hit me. And I've seen that in matches. I'm like, hit me like, you know what I mean? What the fuck is that? Hit me. You gotta hit me. Do you know what I mean? Hit me like your life depends on it. Because I guarantee when I get off my knees, I am going to beat the shit out of you and slap you around the ring. And I will expect you to come back and slap me back as hard as you can. That's really what drives me. Just passion, mate. The love for what we do.
Yeah.
And there's days I complain like everybody else. I'll give out like everybody else. And then I go back to Dublin and I talk to someone back home and I'm like, cop on, will you? Look where you're at, you know? And I was like, oh, you're right. People forget. But then, and also when people get to a certain point, I feel there's nobody there to keep them in check. I think the one people in Ireland, your ma will keep you in check, you know, and your friends will keep you in check. Because it doesn't matter how famous you are in Ireland, like your mates that you grew up with, they'll slap you in the balls. They'll take the piss out of you. They'll bring you back down to earth like that, you know? And it's good. It's good to surround yourself with people who know who you are and are not afraid to tell you to get a grip on yourself. I feel like I've gone off the boil of this question.
That was great.
But it's true, mate.
Yeah. But
like,
that's what keeps you grounded.
Yeah.
And that's also what keeps you driven.
Like one thing, I remember on the phone, I remember one time we were at the Garden, I think, or we were in Newark. I don't know where it was. It was that loop. And my alarm was going off. I had this alarm when I first got my phone. I said, treat every show like it's your first, like treat every match like it's your first match, or every show is like your first show. I'd have that remind me, probably go off about an hour and a half before the show started.
Yeah.
And a couple of lads in the locker room saw that, the senior lads at the time, and they're like, that's incredible. I said, well, I just in case I forget, that's to remind me. Like, it was like a reminder. Treat every show, even if you'd had a million matches, treat every match like it's your first match, because there'll be someone there who's watching your match for the first time.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I don't give a shit about being a top merit seller. I don't care about that stuff. I don't like, I'll just keep fighting away. I'll keep fighting my corner till the very end. And you know, and there's a lot of good lads I've met. There's a few that, you know what I mean, butt heads with whatever over the years, but there's also a lot of good lads in that locker room now. And I love to see them do well. And I love to be involved in that process of them doing well.
Have you had any opponents, like you bring it in every match? Have you ever had an opponent who's like, hey man, ease up. Like,
oh yeah,
you don't need to hit me so hard.
Of course I have. Some of them are still there, so I'm not going to go down that road.
Sure.
But yeah, but most of them don't. Most of them like enjoy it. I think most in the beginning are kind of like, they're a little like, they're taking it back, deer in the headlight stuff. But if you ask them afterwards, that was brilliant. 99% of them after a match like that, because I'm not dropping them on their head. I'm not breaking their nose. No, I did kick out Jeff Hardy's tooth once. That's probably the most damage I've done to someone. But yeah, it's all everything I do is say they could wrestle again tomorrow. It's not like I'm putting them on the sideline, or I'm putting them in surgery, or I'm putting them in like in hospital or on the shelf. None of that, because they'll come back and that was awesome, that was great, and you'll see this kind of like adrenaline going in their face, you know. And
do you ease up if they tell you to?
No. Absolutely, I go harder. That's the biggest mistake you can do, is pretend to ask me to ease up. Not a chance, mate. Not a chance. It's just, listen, it's just this kind of like this part of my year now. It's part of I got signed a new 5-year deal. It just started about 2 months ago. I'm loving it. The channel's in $1 million. A lot of great men and women in WWE Superstars have given their own time as well to make that happen. So that's not something I go, I got 1 million followers. Again, the channel wouldn't have happened only for a lot of the talent were so gracious with their time. Sure. And they were so nice about it, because they weren't getting any money, right? They're on Saturday, you're on the loop, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever back then, and they'd like have a Saturday morning off to get dinner or go to the gym, and I'm like dragging them in to do a Celtic Warrior workout, you know, and they gave their time graciously. So definitely thanks to every single person who's been on that channel, because every single one of them gave their own time, and it would not have happened without them giving their time to make the channel what it is. When you talk about bangers, that match with Edge was incredible. How did you get the honor of being his last opponent in WWE? I don't know. It was something we talked about. We talked about it. I remember we talked about doing an angle together, a storyline together for a while. And it just, I didn't think, I wouldn't say we came up with a storyline. All it was shot down. It was for whatever reason. And then it just happened. I just got a call saying, like, I think it was because we did the promo the week before, and then we did the match the week after. So I think Edge's contract was coming up. I didn't know. No one knew if he was going to stay or go. No one really knew. I didn't know. I thought he was. That's it. I thought he was going to stay, because there was talk of doing something after that as well. But yeah, it was just a situation. I think originally it was Damien Priest was penciled in, but then it just turned to me. So I don't know however it happened, but it was kind of, I was really surprised when it did happen. But I was excited about it too, because me and Edge had never had a one-on-one match. Me and Ray still haven't had a one-on-one match. Me and Punk still haven't. Well, no, if I'm talking about, me and Punk did wrestle a couple of times back in the day, about 12 years ago. But for me, it was, I think the only person now was me and Ray. I'm trying to think of anyone else I haven't wrestled that would be on the roster a substantial amount of time.
That's crazy you haven't wrestled Ray.
I know, yeah.
Gotta make this happen.
A couple of 4-ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Talked about it, but it just hasn't happened yet. Hopefully it will one day. But I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I think there might be somebody else. I can't think right now. Me and Brock never had one.
Oh, that'd be a great one.
That was another one. We had a live event. No, we did. We had a live event, but never on TV. Sorry, we did. We wrestled on a live event once or twice, actually, I think. But yeah, but on TV or in the singles, me and Ray have never had a match. So that would be cool.
Drew McIntyre told me that match that you guys had at WrestleMania 39 is the greatest triple threat match of all time.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, man. It was awesome. It was great. It was it was unbelievable in the SoFi Stadium. It was something else. And then the story with me and Walter, obviously, but then the side story of Drew integrating himself into the match when Drew was supposed to be my best mate and he knew how much this IC title meant to me. It was a great story. And the fact that he was the reason I didn't win as well was cool. We had a lot of great matches, me and Drew. Obviously, we go back, friends go back over 20 years now. So that's special in itself. Like I remember doing Irish Whip wrestling shows where we're in like down the country and we'd be having we were wrestling in front of 25 people, 30 people. And Drew at the time was just a skinny, gangly kid, really tall, but and he was doing leg drops off the top. I think he hit me with 5 leg drops off the top rope or something.
Off the top?
Yeah. Or off the second, maybe off the second. Yeah. He says, I don't think he's ever going to do that again. But yeah, it's been incredible. I feel like I've gone through so many stages of WWE where obviously came in when kind of Taker and Hunter and Sean all on the full-time schedule were kind of phasing out, and then we came into the NXT group, into the FCW crew, being NXT group came in, and then the next phase of that, I think of 4 different phases into the group we're in now, So many talent. Just 17 years kind of, when I say, I think 17 years, going into 18, it's kind of sometimes it feels it's gone like that. Yeah. And sometimes it feels like it's 100 years, Do
you have a number in your mind of how long you want to wrestle for?
No, not really. I just signed a new 5-year deal. So
that'll take you into your 50s.
Yeah, 50. I think my wife reminds me all the time, 52. Is it 52? Listen, I'll go till the wheels fall off me. I could do it physically, can't do it anymore. I love what I do. And listen, there's plenty of time to sit back and read a book and just watch TV. And there's a lot of that, And I know a lot of people, I've talked to some talent as well. But we meet them all at Mania and everything when they come in, especially the Hall of Fame, but also everybody gets invited at Mania. And you can tell a lot of the talent who just retired too early. That wearing look, if I had to hang on my boots when that stuff happened on my neck, I'd be at peace with it, right? Because there's nothing you can do. But when some talent have retired before their time, you can tell there's a bit of regret there.
Well, there's definitely a difference between people who were forced into retirement and people who said, all right, I'm going to wrestle until this date, this time, and then I'm good with it.
But for example, like me, let's say, after the bar went away or retired then, right? The reason the bar ended was because at Mania, I don't even know what Mania was, the one in New York. Well, we're in that 4-way tag. There's so many Manias, but
technically New Jersey.
Yeah. So that Monday we were supposed to be off, right? The Raw, because we were SmackDown talent. And then we got pulled in to break up the set Kofi match. Me and Tony are like, this is horrible. They're just going to shit all over us. People want, this is a title versus title match, right? Kofi just beating Bryan, and then Seth had beaten Brock, I think. Maybe, I don't know, whatever it was. But they're having in New York, right? In Barclays Center. We're like, we're going to go in there and break that up. That's a terrible idea. They're just going to shit on us. So in the end, it was just disaster. What happened was a singles that turned into a tag. That's when the beach balls came out, fella. All the beach balls. Because people, they're just angry. You took away what you're giving them, which I think is a terrible idea. And then the next night, we had a 6-man. It was me, Drew, and Cesaro against all of the New Day. So time got messed up on that one, right? It was it just got messed up. And it was a taped show as well, but whatever happened, I ended up getting a concussion, got a shin in the back of the head. So I was knocked out cold. I was knocked out on my feet. I don't remember anything after the kick. And then I went back, and all I remember is I was not good for about a month after. I got a really bad concussion. So like that could have been, I didn't know if that was it, you know what I mean? That could have been it. And if you think back then, like if I'd retired then, like I'd missed out on the whole, like, you know, coming back during the pandemic era, you know what I mean? Going into the banger after banger, like all the stuff I've done lately, like that would have never existed, you know? And that's kind of really where I started, you know, people started realizing like who I was and how much passion I had and the matches I was putting on. So you take that out, what you get, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, when do you retire? You know, when do you actually retire? When do you go like, I'm gonna pull the plug? Like, when is the right time? Because if I've been like, okay, a massive concussion, I can't do this anymore. Will I be producer or whatever it is? Or just, you know, go on. And then I went on, and then I got like the next stuff, you know what I mean? And then it's like, so you know, like that just wouldn't have existed. I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got passion and your body can go.
Yeah.
Like obviously you don't want to be like, I think my biggest fear, the missus is that like, you know, if we have kids and stuff that I won't be able to play with them or whatever. But I think for a 47-year-old in January, I'll be 47 in January, I feel like I'm doing all right physically. You know, I'm moving around pretty good, but like you go until you feel like, I think I'll go to feel like, you know, I'm not wanted. You know what I mean? It's gratifying, like, you know what? Thanks for everything, but, you know, we just don't enjoy watching anymore. You can't do what you can do. You know, I don't know. When is that time?
Yeah.
Could be 70.
Could you imagine?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just, you know, just throwing stuff out there. It's popping into my head. It's going into my head, out my mouth real quick. So I'm not really thinking. But I just feel like as long as I can do what I do,
yeah,
as long as I enjoy what I'm doing, as long as the fans are enjoying what I'm doing, you know, and I keep that banger after banger thing going. To keep the banger after banger era, just keep going and going. Who knows where we're going to end up? Because I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. Schedule's a little bit, you know, it's a lot better now as well for the talent. So I think a lot of the talent are going to have longer careers because of the schedule the way it is compared to what it was. I think that's good, you know. So
hey, you guys are getting holidays off?
Crazy,
like
right?
Unheard of.
I just went to Munich last week, you know. I saw something there online about people giving out about the double tapings and the spoilers, but like, guys, don't realize like those double tapings are great for family life. You know what I mean? Keeping families together. You know what I'm saying? Like that time off is just, it's invaluable to have like 2 weeks off that we just get to spend to chill at home and time just for yourself and, you know, your family or whatever it is, your friends or whatever, your home life. It's a godsend.
And guys, if it's 3 or 4 episodes a year, what does it matter?
Yeah. It's still going to be great.
Yeah.
But so I think with all those circumstances and the situation the way it is now, yeah, who knows? I'm not putting a date on it. I'm not going to put a label on it. I'm just going to keep enjoying what I'm doing and having the crack.
What is the definition of a banger?
A Sheamus match. Every Sheamus match.
That's perfect. I think this
15
is
15 minutes
right?
late already with 20-minute drive to go.
Okay. I got two more. Two more for you here.
Okay.
One is, did you hear the reference, or when did you hear the reference of lobster head in regards to your theme song?
Oh man, I tried to remember. That's a long time ago. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, what I mean, 2010, maybe 2010. People are very creative on the internet. Very creative, especially music. I do miss that song though. A lot of people were upset. I brought it back, but you know, I wasn't allowed to keep it.
Can we have it back again, maybe?
Don't know, mate. Do you want to go and ask? You go ask. I'm tired of asking.
I'll ask.
I'm all out of asking.
But thank you for everything. Thank you for all the matches. The last question that I have for you.
Yeah.
Gratitude's such an important part of my life. So I end every interview with this question. What are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
My wife, my family and friends, and my health.
Amazing.
I my dogs too. I'm grateful for a lot of things. There's more than 3. Like, you know, wife's been one of my biggest supporters, understanding, and she's always there for me. Tough times, great times. Best mate. She's my best mate, you know. My family, who are still all very healthy, thank God. And my mates back home, Ray, Paddy, all the boys. Grateful for them as well, because there's never a time when, you know, you need to pick up a phone to talk to someone about something, get off your chest. They're always there. Ray, fortunately, there at 3 o'clock in the morning Irish time when I'm calling him on a long drive and I'm venting about something. And then, of course, my dogs, I've got 4 rescue dogs. We lost one, Vesper. She was overbred. She was like a 7-year-old Staffy when we got her. She was mine, like same color hair as me, the whole thing. They're kind of like my kids, you know. And every time I come home, they're doing cartwheels to see me. And there's no better feeling. If you don't have a dog or a cat or whatever, and you feel like there's something missing in your life, it's probably because you don't have a dog or a cat. So I definitely advise you go to with any animal, wherever you get them is amazing. But I always say please adopt, don't shop. There's plenty of amazing pets at like animal shelters that are just, you know, dying for an amazing home.
Yeah, the joy that dog has when you walk through the door.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if you've been gone 5
crazy.
minutes or 5 days or 5 weeks.
It's amazing, bro.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. Like, I love them. Like, it just, when they're not there, it just, the place feels empty. My health, of course, and the fact, and my job, and the fans and people who've supported me my whole life. Like, everyone who's been out there, and every time I walk through the curtain, all those people who cheer and go nuts. Can't tell you how great that feels knowing I'm like y'all give a damn about me, because you can't put that into words. Like the feeling of like love I get from everybody when I go out there is just, it's incredible. And don't want to sound like one of these people like just throwing out phony shit, but it really is. Like, I get goosebumps every time I go out when you guys are like going nuts. Because at the end of the day, like looking at COVID and stuff and pandemic, you know, people don't like to talk about what happened, but the difference having all you guys them back is incredible. Yeah. Like I mean, we got through about a year and a half with no fans, but basically, like, I don't think we would have lasted longer than that without them, because they are the greatest fans in the world. And when people talk about social media and stuff and Twitter and all, they're the first ones doing all that, bringing their signs, being involved. It's a two-party, you know what I mean? It's a collaboration with the talent in the ring and everybody in that arena.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would like to, you know, I'm not one to give like really like answers in the box, like cute answers in the box, you know. I have to explain what I'm saying.
I appreciate
it's Irish in me, you know. We'll talk forever, you know.
What a
gift of the gab.
What a career.
What a curse of the gab.
And you're still going. And
I'm still going, yeah.
Going
to Phoenix, going to Glendale tonight.
So
if I get fined, I'm going to split it, right?
Yeah, it's like $50, right?
I'll be more than that, mate.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I've wanted to sit down with you since our last interview, which was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Shit. When was that?
2016. It's been a long time.
You know, the one thing I thought you talk about, like, what I'm grateful for, one regret is that me and Gary Anthony Williams didn't get an opportunity to do a spin-off movie, because that would have been awesome. Because me and Gary, like, the chemistry we had was crazy. And a lot of people said when they watched the movie that the biggest thing they loved most was Bebop and Rocksteady. So the thing, I was always hoping that me and Gary could definitely do a spin-off on that. That would have been awesome. It would have been so much fun.
You guys were great.
It was great to do.
This was great.
Thanks, fella.
Sheamus.
Maybe you do the Celtic Warrior workout one time, Christy, yeah?
Sure. I'm not going to die or anything, right?
No, just do your workout. It's your workout, mate. Everyone who does a workout in Celtic Warrior workouts, the brave change motto is that, you know, obviously make a brave change, but make a brave change, and we do the workout that you do. So I have to do your workout. That's the whole challenge. And then you explain why you do it, what you like about it, and you tell your story.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Chelsea Green as well. A big shout out to Chelsea Green, who did the last workout, could become United States champion.
That's right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. I'm going off cuff here. Maybe cut that part out. I'm just joking.